Hi, friends.
Hi, friends.
We're back. It's episode 96 of the Brunch and Judge.
I feel like 96 was a decent year.
It was for many people, but not everyone, as I will talk about in my story this week.
Oh.
But
Wow.
yeah, not everybody had a great 96, but that's okay.
Yes.
But we are your hosts. I'm April.
And I'm Claire.
And this week we are talking wild card stories, which means who the fuck knows what we chose?
That's right.
Yay us. But I'm pretty confident that we both chose true crime. So if you are in the Christmas true crime spirit, this is the place for you.
Right. I don't know why true crime is on the wheel and we hardly ever land on it.
We hardly ever get it. So I'm glad that we did this time.
Yes. So yeah, if the wild card, it's probably going to wind up being true crime.
Yeah.
Because we don't ever land on true crime. It's usually cults or paranormal or spooky.
Yeah. It's interesting.
It is.
But before we get into that, Claire, what are you judging this week?
Okay, I've got two judges. One of them just happened to me yesterday, and it was annoying AF.
Okay.
I was trying to buy my dad a Christmas present, and it was denied. It was online. My debit card was denied. It was. It was like, what? Like, I've got the money.
Mm-hmm.
I just got paid on Friday, and I had a Christmas bonus the week before, so I had the cash in the bank. Why is this transaction not going through? And so I tried doing it again, and that one was denied again. I was like, heck on it. And so I was like, ugh. So then I was like, I had bought some stuff on Amazon, and it seemed like it went through. But then I got a text later that was like, no, it was denied. I'm like, what is happening? I literally had just used my card yesterday morning to buy a smoothie, and I was like, it worked then.
It was fine. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then I came home and tried to buy this present, and then it was everything's being denied. Denied. And I'm like, why? Why are these transactions not happening? So while I was at work, I had to work my part-time job yesterday. I got a phone call. And that was another thing. I was bombarded with all these spammy phone calls, which I've got all of them sent to like voicemail anyway, or they block them so I don't actually have to see them, but it comes up that I missed a phone call. Anyway, I got a voicemail from one of them, and it was the fraud department saying fraudulent charges, blah, blah, blah. Give us a phone call. Here's your case number, yada, yada. So I call, and they're like, oh, first it was just this automated thing that was like, did you make these transactions? 3 of them I did. There was one that I was like, it was like a Google transaction for $1 from Australia. And I was like, no, that wasn't me. So then they send me to talk to somebody. Turns out that dollar was a pre-authorization from the website I was on to buy Dad's Christmas present, and that's what flagged the fraud thing. And I'm glad that they're there, and they're flagging things as fraudulent. But it's like the website I was on was not some weird website. It's a brand name website.
Yeah.
It's like something I'd heard of. It was not some obscure thing that I was like, oh, this is shady. This was a Facebook scam thing. No, it was a legit website of buying Dad this present he wanted, And but anyway, that pre-auth thing is what flagged the fraud. And so then they denied all my other transactions. And anytime I tried to use my debit card, everything was like not going through. And I'm like, I am trying to buy Christmas gifts. This is a terrible time of year for this to happen. And I'm like, ain't nobody got time for identity theft right now. But I'm like, if I have to get a new card and I have to wait like 7 to 10 business days, I'm gonna die. I am going to die.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't want to put all this shit on my credit card.
Yeah.
I mean, I can, but I don't want to. Like, I want to just put it on my debit card and be done with it. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's like, I got the cash for it. Let me do it. But anyway, I'm glad they're there to do that. But it's like, damn it. Just let me buy my shit, okay? Let me buy my shit. Trying to buy Christmas presents. That's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah. I mean, again, yay, thank you. But also, why would a brand name company have a process that could get flagged as fraud?
Right.
It's like, what are you even doing?
But I've never had that happen either, where I've used something on a website where it's done a pre-auth thing like that, because it said it was out of Australia.
Which
and I
is
think that's
weird.
that's what flagged it. Yeah. It was a temporary hold thing for $1 from Google from Australia. And I think that's what flagged it. But then when they got to looking at it, they're like, oh, it was from the website.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, like, I think it was just an automatic flag or whatever.
And you were
so
like,
they just shut it down, and everything was
me.
Everything was restricted. Yeah. And then they started going back and they're like, oh, did you buy this transaction from Etsy? Yes, that was me. That was I have the items in my possession. There was nothing shady about that, like going on back. Yes, all those were me. Me. I am the only one that has access to my card. Yes. Thank you. So thank you for like looking out for me, but also I'm annoyed because I was like, I've been trying to buy this thing for my dad for like days. Okay. And it's like every time I go to buy it, I think I've bought it twice, and then it'll come back and it'll be like, oh, your transaction's confirmed. I'll get an email, but then it'll be like, oh, we canceled your order because it was actually sold out. Like a day later. And I'm like, because it's a specific color that he wants. Like I could get it in another color and he'd be okay with that. But it's the specific color that he wants. Yes. And I'm like trying to find it. And so I found it on this website. Even though it was like $30 more than everywhere else, I finally found it. And it was like, then I'm like, deny. And I'm like, why? And I'm like, this is going to sell out too by the time I get this all straightened out. I'm never going to be able to get this thing for my dad.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was really annoyed by that. But
that's fair.
Thanks for looking out for me, but also
get like, right.
Right.
Fix this was like systems. What the hell?
I know this is also like a name brand thing. This was not, like I said, not some kind of like, oh, this was a Facebook scam website. No, it was not that. This was like a name brand website, and then my boyfriend's like, he goes like, that's what you get for like using PayPal. And I'm like, it wasn't even PayPal. I wasn't using PayPal. I was using my debit card. There's none of that bullshit. Anyway, that was just a slight annoyance during Christmas of all things, where I was like, I cannot live without my debit card for like 7 to 10 business days.
I need it right now.
Well, especially because I'm going to be leaving next weekend to go home. I mean, with Christmas like right around the corner, like, no, thank you. I can't deal right now. That's my first judge. Thanks for looking out, but also just let me buy my Christmas present. But my main judge was this past week. I had a customer come in to my main job. She's also a customer at my part-time job. And she was like, hey girl. And then she's like, wow, you look great. You've lost so much weight. And I'm like, hey, thanks. And then it's like, just stop there.
Yep. Don't continue.
Don't say anything else. And she was like, she's like, you're just getting too skinny. Pretty soon you're going to be too skinny that you can't work at your other job.
God.
Yeah. And in my head, I'm like, okay, slow your fucking roll. I'm still like right at 300 pounds, even though I tell people that and they're like, no, you're not. I'm like, yes, I fucking am. Do you want to see the scale? And then I'm also like, chill out. I'm a size 18 now. Like I just bought a pair of 18 jeans, which I've not been in an 18 and I don't know how long.
Amazing.
Right. I'm excited about that. But still, I'm an 18. I've still got like 4 sizes until I size out of the store that I work at. So calm the fuck down. But it's just like, can we just like tell people that they look good? Hey, you've lost weight. You're looking great. And just stop there. Why do we have to continue commenting on people's bodies?
Well, and like,
stop.
You don't even have to say things like you've lost weight. You can just be like, you look really good. Thank you. Yeah. I love how that sweater looks on you. Thank you. That's all you gotta do. Just be nice. Don't be like, Well, and then don't turn it into some kind of a negative. Well, you're not gonna be able to do. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Right. And it's like, do you know how much shit I couldn't do because I was overweight, and now you're telling me that I'm gonna lose too much weight and I still can't do shit?
Yeah.
fuck all y'all.
Yeah.
Like, you can't win.
No,
you can't
you can't.
fucking win. And I
You
just want to be
cannot.
like, bah, I just want to go scream into the void somewhere. Like, can I just have a moment
No.
to enjoy the fact that I've lost like right around 80 pounds and just, ah,
No, you cannot. You cannot enjoy that. Sorry.
apparently not. Apparently. You know, because people who come into my part-time job that, you know, have seen me regularly, you know, they're like,
Mm-hmm.
you've lost so much weight, you look great, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's when they start getting to the, oh, you look like you're getting too skinny. I'm like, okay, I'm not skinny. Now
Mm-hmm.
I have never been skinny. Let's get that straight. I don't know what skinny is to you, ma'am,
Mhm.
but wrong. wrong. Like, oh my
Well,
God.
and like, I guess my thing is, even should you get to the point where you size out of like certain clothes, it's not
Right.
like for me,
Not the end of the world.
well, and I'm also a person that like I wear a small size of pants because I have no ass. But like I always buy much larger sizes in like dresses in order to like fit like boobs or like I mean there's an infinite amount of clothes that you can still wear
Right.
from the store that will not be named. Like you can work there forever. It's
Right.
fucking fine. Calm down.
I mean, and
This
they've gotten to where they've extended their sizes to go as low as 10, 12.
Mhm.
So, but a lot of the lower sizes, like 10, 12, you get online, whatever.
Right.
But it's like, I can't imagine, I can't even like fathom myself getting down that small. I mean, right now, like, because I don't even know, like, if you go by the BMI start chart standards, I mean, I should be like I don't know, 170.
Yeah, something insane that makes
And I'm like, I can't even imagine what I would look like at 170. So I'm just
yeah.
like, do I even want to be that small? Like, no.
And I mean, it's one of those, as long as you're happy,
Yeah,
who the fuck cares?
right. And healthy. That's everything. I
Yes.
just want to be healthy. Like, I just wanted to feel better. Like,
Yeah.
that's why I started doing this. It wasn't a matter of like, oh, I've got a certain size I want to fit into.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, would I like to see under 200 pounds? I couldn't even tell you the last time I weighed under 200 pounds. But I mean, I'd be happy with like 195.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
like, I'd be like, I don't need to be like 160. Like, I know that like for my height or whatever. And I realize like my bone structure, like, I don't think it would look good.
I know. I
Like,
think you would
no.
look really weird and
Right.
sickly because you're like you're broad shouldered and you have
Right.
wide hips and you have thick bones that if you had nothing on them,
Right.
you might look a little bizarre.
Right. Yeah.
But you might
Like,
not. I mean, you go to wherever you want to be, but like
I don't even know.
know.
I don't even know that it would look right if I was below 200. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that I'm like on the cusp of like literally like it's gone back and forth. Like the other day I hopped on the scale and it was 297 and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, "What?" You know, but it's like, you know, you fluctuate based on
Right,
water
right.
weight and all that because women and all the things
Yes.
that men don't have to deal with. Anyway,
Yes.
so but anyway, like I'm just like flirting with like legit being under 300, which I've not seen in a really long time, and I'm super excited about that.
Yes. That is a real coup. Yes, absolutely.
And then my next goal is like 280 because that was like the lowest that I've been as like an adult when I was like doing like Nutrisystem and all that. That was like
Yeah.
was like 280.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the plateau I hit back then was like that was where I got stopped was 280 and it was like that was my wall back in the day. So if I could get below 280, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's just like,
Yeah, I just
does it matter?
no. Well, and you don't have to comment on anyone's body. You can just say you look really good today or you're looking really good. You know, you can leave it. They may
Right.
we all know what you're talking about, but just don't say it. Just be nice. Just be like, you look really good. Ta-da.
It's like those people who turn compliment, and I don't think she meant anything by it.
No,
like it's
but
not, but it's just how people are
Mm-hmm.
and how things. She's not the only one who's done it. Other people have done it too.
Yeah.
And it's not just to me. Like, I've seen it because there are people at my part-time job who are also going to the same place that I'm going and who have lost, like, started before me and have lost a lot more weight and have gotten down to really small sizes. And they're saying the same thing. It's
Wow.
like, oh, you're getting to be so skinny. You're not going to be able to work here anymore. Like, that's the thing. And it's like,
I'm not really sure that you can get fired from a job because you're
no,
not
no.
at the right
In fact, where I
size.
work, they hire men, which is
Mhm.
not, I mean, men work there, which is a common misconception where you think they would only hire women. No, there are men that work
It's
in
like,
that
I don't think
store.
you're allowed to.
Even though it's a women's clothing
Yeah.
store, there are men that work there.
Yeah. It's
So
like, I don't think
like,
you're allowed to
discriminate.
thank
Yeah.
you. So, just shut up.
But it's still, it's just like, why do we have to continue to comment on people's bodies like that? Like I said, slow down. I'm still a size 18. I've got a minute to go until I size out of their clothes. So, and yeah, to you all, I'm still like flirt with 300. So, chill out.
Very
And
good.
though you see me in person, I may not look like it, but I am because I don't have a reason to lie about it. So, why would I lie about being 300 pounds?
Fair point.
That's my judge.
That is an excellent judge, Claire. Excellent. I love that.
So, what are you judging this week?
Okay. Well, so to those of you who listen to us every week, you may have noticed that there was a week that no episode came out, and you're like,
Yeah.
I wonder what happened. That's so weird. They're usually on top of their shit.
We are.
And you know what? We are almost always on top of our shit. And in fact, the last episode that dropped was the episode that should have come out, but I was unable to edit it, and I was unable to record another episode with my bestie here because I, at the ripe old age of 40, got the worst hemorrhoid of my life. And
it's
like,
not funny. It's not funny.
I'm here to judge.
We can talk. We can laugh about it now
Because like
you're feeling better, but
it has been 2 weeks, guys, and it's still not gone. But I can now sit upright again, and live my life again. So progress has been made. But like, won't lie, was absolutely the worst thing I have ever experienced. There were many tears, and there were many visits to urgent care where people were like, "Yep, that sure is a hemorrhoid," and you're like, "Thanks."
You're
for
like, "I knew
touching
that."
Like, I knew that. Sticking fingers in places they don't belong. So cool. Just saying.
Oh, God.
It's been a wild ride, guys. And then like it was really bad, like really, really bad. And then when I thought it couldn't get worse, like I'm on the floor in tears because like I can't go to the bathroom. I can't. It hurts too much. And then my period hits on top of it. So I'm like, why? What have I done to deserve this wrath, this misery? And like, it was poor Spencer, bless his heart. He's been so great. But like, whoa.
But still.
Whoa. So it's been pretty terrible, I won't lie. But I tell you all of that to tell you about the last episode that I edited. Now, as you know, I just set up a new space here in the studio, and I didn't have all of my settings right. So I had to get audio from Claire's recording, and it had a couple of weird little kinks in it where it would just like cut off bits. But interestingly, only in my story was there audio issues where I had to like do weird edits, and like sometimes it wouldn't align. Once we got into Claire's story, it was totally fine. I didn't have to do anything. It was great.
I was sabotaging because I'm a saboteur. No, I'm kidding.
But if you recall, Claire, do you remember what my story was?
Yes, I do.
My story was about
the ornament.
The cursed ornament.
Yes.
In which when they were
and they said that stuff was missing.
Were recording
Shut the fuck up.
I swear to God. So when they were recording her doing that stupid thing, the camera quit working. Some of the stuff was just missing. They had all sorts of problems. And like her mom was like, we shouldn't be talking about this. And I shit you not. It was after we recorded that goddamn episode that I got a hemorrhoid, that my week was pure hell, that then I got my period, that everything was going apart. Literally like calling surgeon offices, like, please cut this out of me.
My God. And it's Christmas. Ah!
And then when I finally fucking go to edit this stupid thing, all these problems everywhere, just in my story, telling this story. And I was like, oh my God, the cursed ornament got me. It got me because I told the story and it's Christmas and it came for me. So like, I'm judging the fact that I cursed myself by telling that stupid story, and it has been a nightmare. Oh my God,
I didn't even think of that. The
Until
thought did not even cross my mind.
It was literally, I'm sitting here editing that episode yesterday, and I'm going, shit, this is what started the whole thing, because like we recorded that on Saturday, and it happened the next day is when it first started. My hemorrhoid.
What's so funny is Tessa, my cousin, was texting me. She was listening to the episode, and she was like, tell April that you should take your tree down whenever the Boy Scouts come around and offer to take your tree down for you so I don't have to do it.
That's fair. And
then she texts me and she's like, what was it? Something about holy shit. She's like, April's got me scared about family curses now. And then I was like, as long as you don't have any janky handmade, or you buy any like janky handmade ornaments. And she was like, well, I've got plenty of my own, because she's got her kids.
She's got kids,
yeah. And she was like, well, talking about her own children, but she said she doesn't have to worry about buying any, she said, I don't need to, we have plenty. Fortunately, no Vader ornaments though. And I said, she says, long as buying them is the trigger, I'm safe, LOL. And then she sends me pictures of the two guys sent me a gift of the two guys from Supernatural. And she goes, I know who to call if I need them though. But they're dressed as like Ghostbusters.
Well, I mean, like, to the point.
Like, we freaked her out though. She was like all afraid about family curses. And so now she's going to hear this and be like, oh.
Well, so like, you may not know that if you don't read the notes of our episode, like the notes that I put in for the video and for the podcast, which I never do in other people's, but like I put in the notes to beware of the curse because I got fucking cursed. And then this is me explaining to you how I got cursed and the fact that like, this was one of the worst experiences of my life. And it literally has almost ruined Christmas for us. So I'm like,
oh my gosh.
Oh my God, it cursed me. It got me.
Even
because
though
I talked about it.
Even though it's dead and buried.
It still has power.
In somebody's backyard with sage and salt and all the things.
I got my Keep the Evil Eye Away ward.
There you go.
I'm over here being like, jingling my bell, keep me safe. I have this aura spritz that has Palo Santo in it and like sage the shit out of everything. I don't want it. Cause like,
oh my God, that is wild. Oh my God.
It happened after I told that story. It all went downhill.
It did. It did indeed.
So
that thought never even crossed my mind.
It didn't cross mine until yesterday. I realized it because I was having all the problems editing, and then I get to your story and I'm like, oh God, Claire's just good. Okay, this is good. This is much faster. This is so much better. And then I was like, it was only my story about the cursed ornament. God damn it. It cursed me. It got me. So apologies to anybody who got cursed by listening to that episode. I am so sorry.
Oh my God.
Say a prayer, spray some Palo Santo, do a salt circle, whatever you got to do. Because damn. She's a bitch. So.
Wow.
That's my judge.
That's nuts. Well, I don't even know what to say about that. Except that's an excellent judge. Holy shit. And wow.
Yeah. So
the ghost of evil Christmas ornament came back to like bite you in the ass, like
literally. I wasn't able to sit for a whole week. I just laid on my side like a pathetic creature on the couch watching old seasons of Project Runway.
Oh my God.
It was so bad. It
Wow.
was so bad. Okay. Anyway, so
Yikes.
there you go. That's my judge.
Indeed. That is a judge, I tell you what.
And on that note, Claire, what wonderful story have you brought us this week for Wild Card?
Well, I am going to be telling you the story of the Covina Christmas Eve massacre.
Ooh, nothing says Merry Christmas like murder.
That's right. I got my sources from Wikipedia, LA Times, Oxygen, and the San Gabriel Valley Tribune.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, Christmas Eve 2008. Joseph and Alicia Ortega were having a family get together for Christmas. They had around 25 people in their house.
Oh, wow.
Well, they have 5 children, adult children, and those
Fair.
children have children.
Have children.
So, yeah. Um, some of them had a game of Texas Hold'em going at the dinner table. Kids were playing video games, hanging out by the pool. Like I said, they have 5 adult children. James, Charles, Letitia, Alicia, which I'm like, why do people keep naming their children after themselves? I don't like that. And then another daughter, Sylvia, and plus all their children. And then they had some cousins and other people over. So hence the 25 people. I mean, I get it's a lot. And so around 11:30 p.m., there's a knock at the door. Like people are getting ready to leave, and there's a knock at the door. And so Letitia's 8-year-old daughter answered the door and she squeals Santa. But then Santa shoots her in the face. And then he starts shooting everybody else that's near the door, and mass chaos ensues.
Oh my God.
And yeah, he enters the home and he just begins firing indiscriminately at anybody and everybody. And the family members just start fleeing. And then he takes this present that he has and he unwraps it, and it reveals a device that he has that starts spraying accelerant all over the place. And there was an open flame, so it wound up catching fire quicker than he intended. But it was believed that he was gonna like throw a flare from afar to catch the place on fire. But came into contact with an open flame and set fire to the place, and then there was an explosion. And so it's like just mass chaos very quickly.
Damn.
In the chaos, Letitia and her daughter, the one who was shot in the face, were able to make it to a neighbor's house where she was able to call 911. And she identified over the phone that this bad Santa was Bruce Pardo, who was her sister Sylvia's ex-husband.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So Bruce Pardo was a California native. He went to California State University in Northridge. He had previously worked at a jet propulsion laboratory, so I mean, he's a smart
Oh.
dude. He knows about
yeah.
things.
At JPL. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And he met Sylvia Ortega in 2004, and they were married in 2006. But marital problems quickly emerged because this guy sounds like a real piece of work. Bruce refused to have a joint bank account with his new wife because he expected her to use only her income to take care of her 3 children from her previous relationship.
Oh.
Yeah, like he didn't want to like have any of his money. Like, I'm like, why did you get married?
Why would you
like,
marry her if you don't intend on being a caregiver to the children that, to no fault of their own, exist?
Right. And then there was also some tension between them because there was speculation that Bruce was hiding a child from a previous relationship, which I found that there was said something about this woman. He had a child, and I don't think they were married from what I saw. And he was watching the child while she went out, and the kid crawled into and fell into a pool. And I guess he was in there long enough that he had like significant brain damage.
Oh, okay.
That caused him to he'd be in a wheelchair the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And so initially Bruce like helped take care of the kid, but then he just like cut him off and wouldn't pay for anything. And I mean, he had like this child had over $300,000 in medical bills
Oh,
and
wow.
just refused to like pay anything. So she sued him just for like $100,000. Like it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like she was trying to be vindictive.
She's
I think
like, yeah. She's like,
she wound up getting it,
yeah.
you know, and then they set up some kind of trust that he had to pay into until like a certain amount of time, and then once that was done, it was done. But
Mm-hmm.
it was like he was court mandated, that kind of thing. But he refused to like financially help anything with that kid until it was like
Until
she
the
took him
court
to
made him,
court.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
gross.
there was that involved too. It was like tension. So obviously, the marriage did not last very long. So in June 2008, a divorce court ruled that Bruce had to pay Sylvia 1785 a month, $1,785 a month. And in July of the same year, Bruce was fired from his job at the ITT Corporation of Electronic Radar Systems. He was electrical engineer. He was billing false hours. That's why he got
Oh,
fired.
fair. Absolutely need to get fired for that shit.
Right. So, because he got fired, the payments were suspended due to hardship.
Mm-hmm.
But also, as part of this divorce agreement, they had told him that he needed to pay her $10,000, like a lump sum of $10,000. And he complained to the courts because he said that she lived with her parents and she didn't have to pay any rent, so she didn't have any bills. Which I'm like, she has 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
She has bills, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I don't know. It didn't say anything about her ex or the father's children, like if they were involved in like helping take care. So I don't know if that was a thing or not. But still, you have kids, you have bills.
Yeah, yeah.
Regardless of whether you're having to pay rent at your parents' house or not, you have bills if you have children. So, and he also complained about her spending habits, and this is according to him, that she would go out and buy luxury cars, that she would go and have gambling trips to Las Vegas, fancy meals at expensive restaurants. She would go get massages. And I'm just like, is this true or are you just being a dick? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I just
Well,
can't
it's like, is a
imagine.
luxury car a car that has like cruise control?
Right. Like,
Is a fancy dinner Applebee's? I mean, like that's
right.
what I'm
r-
just curious about.
Right. Like, what are we saying here? But the divorce was finalized the week before this happened on December 18th, 2008. And
Okay.
then this happened on Christmas Eve. So when Bruce decided to get revenge that Christmas Eve, there were several people who were, like I said, near the front door because people were getting ready to leave. The family members who survived said that after Bruce shot 8-year-old girl in the face, that Sylvia's brother Charles Ortega recognized him immediately and yelled out to everybody, "It's Bruce!" Like even though he was dressed as Santa and
Yeah.
had on like a fake beard and all that, like they knew who it was. And so then Bruce, immediately after he shot the girl, he shot her brother James, and then he shot Charles Ortega. And even though they were shot and were on the ground, they got up and they still tried to stop him
Right.
from going back. But he continued shooting, and the adults who were at the table, which were the two parents, Joseph and Alicia Ortega, and the daughters, Letitia, Alicia, and Sylvia, they were all playing at the cards. They
Mm-hmm.
all hid under the table. But Letitia, I guess, saw where her daughter had gotten shot. She saw her daughter just like walking around because she'd
Right.
gotten shot in the face. Uh, she crawled out from under the table to go get her daughter. And that's probably what saved Letitia's life because the rest of them got shot and were killed.
Ah.
And the girl, even though she had been shot in the face, said she turned her head at the last second. I guess she saw the gun, and so it
Mm-hmm.
didn't like hit her full on. It hit her in the jaw, so it wasn't like a full on face shot. Um, so she didn't have life threatening injuries, but still, I mean, she got shot in
Yeah.
the face.
Yeah, absolutely. Trauma forever.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Um, Besides her, there was another child. It was a 16-year-old girl got shot in the back. But other than that, most of the kids, they think they were spared because they were all towards the back of the house playing games or watching
Mm-hmm.
TV, playing outside. So most of the kids made it out unscathed. Um, So he never made it that far into the house. Of the 25 people that were there, 9 died. It was
Oh,
parents,
wow.
Joseph and Alicia Ortega, 4 of their 5 children, James, Charles, Sylvia, and Alicia died. 2 of the in-laws, it was the brothers' wives, died. And Michael Ortega, 17 years old, he was Alicia's son. They all died of gunshot wounds except for Michael, who he died in the explosion. He
Oh.
was upstairs on the second floor playing computer games. And so when the house exploded, he died in the explosion. He wasn't shot. Um, Pardo's plan after the attack, I don't know if he was just doing all this to confuse police, but there was like a bunch of different things. He had rented several different rental cars and parked them in different places. One of them, oops, I knocked off an empty cup. He parked them in different places, and one was near Sylvia's divorce attorney and had like supplies and different things, maps in it. And they think that he might have been a target,
Okay.
like for him to go later. But he'd also like made plans to go see a friend in Iowa, and he had a plane ticket to Illinois, and he had cash strapped to his body. But in all of this, I guess because he was not anticipating on the house exploding
Mm-hmm.
with the flame and all that, he things got derailed because he wound up being burned in the explosion. He had 3rd-degree burns on
Good.
his leg. Yeah, I know. On his legs and his arms. And so he leaves the scene. A neighbor saw him leave, got the car, the make and model of the car. And so he left the scene and he drove to his brother's house in Sylmar, and the police found his body and he was dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Also good.
Yes. They found him about a block away. Or found his body at his brother's house, but they found his rental car about a block away, and it had the Santa suit in it because he had changed clothes. And he had rigged the car with a booby trap. So if you moved the Santa suit, that it would set off a fire and trigger to shoot about 200 rounds of ammo.
Oh my God.
Right. And you're just like, what?
What the fuck?
Yes. And then at home, at his house, they found 5 empty boxes for semi-automatic handguns, 2 shotguns, a container for high-octane fuel tank of gas, and a partridge in a pear tree.
And
Because
a partridge in a pear tree.
Yes. And they said his home was basically just like a factory for bomb making.
What the hell?
All because he was disgruntled over his ex-wife taking him to the cleaners, is what one of his ex-coworkers said that he had said.
Oh my God.
After the divorce suit.
More reasons to not get married, guys.
Right?
Boy. Holy fuck.
Well, and so this Christmas Eve will be 15 years since this happened. So when this airs, it'll be 15 years since this has happened.
Wow.
And I'm just like, I've never heard of this. And when I just Googled Christmas true crime stories, this was like one of the first ones that popped up. And I was like, what? It was like Santa Massacre on Christmas Eve. I was like, say what now? I was in Covina, California. So I was like, this is interesting. All because a woman wanted to get divorced because her husband was a piece of trash.
Well, and so, like, here's what makes me insane. So, one, never is murder the solution to any of this garbage. But, like, let's pretend like you really are so mad at a person that you want them to die. That's wrong and bad. But why are you killing all these people completely unrelated to the situation? I mean, they're just...
right. Just,
like, you're murdering a whole family with kids that had nothing to do with it. Like, who took care of the kids?
Like the kids. Your first victim is an 8-year-old girl who was your former niece. Like, what did she have to do with anything?
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? God. That's horrible.
It is horrible.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Which I'm glad that he offed himself. I mean...
Although I really wish he had to suffer the 3rd-degree burns for a while, because...
Right. And I figured that's probably why. Painful. that's probably why
Yeah.
he offed himself, is he's probably like, I'm not gonna.
Not gonna escape this one,
Right.
idiot. Gah.
Because he would have, I mean, he
Yeah.
would have had to gone to the hospital. He would have had to have, if he had gone to the hospital
They
with,
absolutely would have
absolutely
gotten
would
it.
have
Yeah.
called that in and he
Mm-hmm.
would have been busted. So, I mean, and it said his brother wasn't home when he got there. So, I mean, I don't know if they just found him like out on the lawn dead. It didn't it just said he found him at his brother's home. I don't know if he was inside or out in the
I
yard.
mean,
I'm not sure of that, but
I am glad his brother wasn't home. His brother might be dead too. Like,
that's, yeah, facts.
who knows? I mean, he was not okay.
Well, and I'm
Wow.
glad that he didn't make it to the attorney's house because the attorney could
Yeah.
possibly be
It's
dead.
like
Because
he's just doing his job. What the hell is wrong? What the fuck?
I know, right? Like,
Ugh.
it's like it's not his fault that you either didn't have an attorney or you had a trash attorney who didn't do their job.
Well,
Or
or that, you know, the reality is you got married to someone and they have a right to some of your income. Like, that's just the
right,
reality. Like, I'm sorry. You don't get to go on a murder spree because you are mad that somebody got money out of you. Like, what the hell? It's
right.
just money.
And I can't imagine being at like a family get together and you're like, okay, we're going home. It's Christmas. And then Santa's at the door and he just busts out a 9mm and just starts shooting at people and then whips out some kind of compressed air thing and starts spraying like accelerant all over the place because he's going
Mm-hmm.
to throw a flare and light everybody on fire. Like what? No. Like the whole thing when I was reading it, like it just kept getting worse.
Yeah.
Because it's bad enough that he showed up and started shooting everybody, but then they were like, and then he starts spraying like gas or something. I was like, wait, what? No. Because at first it was said on one of them it said flamethrower, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, wait, what? It was like not a flamethrower. It was just like he's just spraying like gas or something all over the place, and it came in contact with an open flame, which caused everything to catch on fire. I guess quicker than what he wanted and caused an explosion. I think that he had flares, so he was gonna
Mm-hmm.
like stand back from a safe distance and throw a flare and cause the place to light on fire. But still, it was just like,
That's horrible.
I mean, this guy was psychotic. And then, of
Yeah.
course, everybody who was like, he's not violent. He's never shown violent tendencies before. And I'm like, are you
Uh,
sure about that?
boy, he sure went all the way to 100 then, didn't he? Good God.
I mean, seriously.
Insane. Insane.
So, yeah,
Insane, I tell you.
when you talk about bad Santa, he was the worst Santa.
Yes. You.
So,
Hate
anyway,
that.
that is the story of the Covina Christmas Eve massacre.
I mean, it's an excellent story. I love that. But, like, it's horrible.
It is horrible. Yes.
Ugh.
I mean, and I hate that these people died and they did nothing. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, they're just,
like, I feel like none of these
they're
people
enjoying
deserved
a
it.
family get together. Like, what the hell? Leave them alone.
Right. I mean, it wasn't her fault that you lost your job.
No.
You did that. You did that. You know, it sounds to me like it wasn't even totally her fault that you got divorced. You kind of did that too,
Mm-hmm.
buddy. I mean,
Gross.
gross indeed. So there you have it.
Well,
That's my
thank you.
Christmas Eve story for Christmas Eve.
That's amazing because, nothing, like I said, says Christmas like murder and mayhem.
That's right. So, what is your Christmas Eve story for us?
Well, I bring to you a Christmas murder mystery. And it's one that, if you are of an age, like our age, I'm sure you remember very well. If you are a younger demographic, you may not. It's not really been in the news that much in the last 10 years. So I'm bringing to you the Christmas murder mystery of JonBenét Ramsey.
Of an age, indeed.
All right.
Of an age.
So I got my
Did
information.
that happen in 96?
1996.
Oh my God, I can't believe it was that long ago.
I know.
I don't know why I thought it was like later than that.
Mm-mm.
Dang.
It's almost been 30 years. It's insane.
Wow.
We were but children, Claire.
We were. God. I don't know why I thought it was older than that. 12.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Continue. Sorry. I'm just like, time,
I know.
time is so weird. Time is
It
weird.
is. So
I would have been like, I've been like, yeah, that happened in like 2000. That's what I was like.
well,
96.
because it's very vivid. Like I remember watching a lot about it, but it was
I
also
guess
in the news a lot for
what
several years.
I think that's probably why
So
it was like
it felt like
carried on for so long and people just kept talking about it. Yeah.
But I got all my information from Wikipedia, The Independent, crimemuseum.org, the Denver Gazette, and KTLA, which is a news station. So JonBenét Patricia Ramsey was born August the 6th, 1990, to parents John Bennett and Patricia Patsy Ramsey in Atlanta, Georgia. And you know how much I hate this. You know that I hate so much that they named their child after both of them, like literally verbatim, both of them.
Right.
John Bennett. Oh, let's name her JonBenét. It's sort of your name, but slightly girly. And we'll put her middle name Patricia because that's my first name. Like, what the fuck? Stop it.
Yes.
Especially because she
I feel like it's a terrible name.
Well, especially because she had an older brother named Burke Hamilton Ramsey, and he was, 3 years older. They didn't name him after either of them. So why did she get named after both of them? It's so weird. I hate it.
Yes. I concur.
Thank you. So they're from Atlanta, Georgia. John was the president of a company called Access Graphics, which was a subsidiary of Lockheed Martin. And they all moved to Boulder, Colorado for his work because that's where headquarters was. So that's how they ended up in Colorado. Patsy was John's second wife. He was divorced from his first wife. He did have a daughter from that marriage who had tragically died like 5 years earlier from a car accident. She was like in her 20s. She's a grown.
Okay.
She's grown. But tragic car accident. She died. So we're going to shoot to the day after Christmas. It's December the 26th, 1996. When Patsy comes downstairs from their McMansion. They were very wealthy.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So she comes downstairs and realizes that JonBenét is missing because she has found a ransom note on the kitchen staircase of their house, because they have more than one staircase. Isn't that fancy? And so, yeah. And so after she sees the ransom note.
Is it the servants?
Yes, it's the servants staircase. It was very specific. The kitchen staircase as opposed to just the staircase.
The staircase.
So, in the kitchen staircase was a ransom note that she found, which made her go check her daughter's room and realize her daughter was not there. JonBenét is 6 at the time. The ransom note was a 2.5-page handwritten note, which the FBI later was like, this is not normal.
Right.
In which it requested $118,000.
That's very specific.
As ransom, which was nearly the exact amount that John had received as a bonus from work, which, that's a big bonus.
Yeah.
And John actually was the one that pointed that out to police to suggest that someone who had access to that information must be involved somehow.
Right.
But what was interesting is that the ransom note had been written at the house. So it was handwritten, and it had been written at the house. And they determined that because they found a practice draft of it and the notepad and pen that was used to compose the note. Now, I will read you the note. It's longish, so I'll try and go quickly.
Yes.
This is what the note said. Mr. Ramsey, Listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. We do respect your business, but not the country that it serves. At this time, we have your daughter in our possession. She is safe and unharmed, and if you want her to see 1997, you must follow our instructions to the letter. You will withdraw $118,000 from your account. $100,000 will be in $100 bills and the remaining $18,000 in $20 bills. Make sure that you bring an adequate size attaché to the bank. Attaché.
Who says that? Attaché.
When you get home, you will put the money in a brown paper bag. I will call you between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow to instruct you on delivery. The delivery will be exhausting, so I advise you to be rested. If we monitor you getting the money early, we might call you early to arrange an earlier delivery of the money and hence an earlier delivery pickup of your daughter. Any deviation of my instructions will result in the immediate execution of your daughter. You will also be denied her remains for proper burial. The two gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you, so I advise you not to provoke them. Speaking to anyone about your situation, such as police, FBI, etc., will result in your daughter being beheaded. If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies. If you alert bank authorities, she dies. If the money is in any way marked or tampered with, she dies. You will be scanned for electronic devices, and if any are found, she dies. You can try to deceive us, but be warned that we are familiar with law enforcement countermeasures and tactics. You stand a 99% chance of killing your daughter if you try to outsmart us. Follow our instructions, and you stand a 100% chance of getting her back. You and your family are under constant scrutiny as well as the authorities. Don't try to grow a brain, John. You are not the only fat cat around, so don't think that killing will be difficult. Don't underestimate us, John. Use that good Southern common sense of yours. It's up to you now, John. Victory, SBTC.
I don't think I've ever heard that fully.
Oh, yeah? It's
or like Reddit.
bonkers.
I've never like looked it up.
It is a bonkers weird ass. So like
it very much is. Like who like what?
Well, and like later on, like I'll talk about it a little bit, but like later on the FBI's like handwritten, not normal. More than a page, not normal.
Right.
All of these weird instructions and things, not normal. This is not normal. So,
right.
Hinky.
Yeah.
But Patsy read it and she called 911 at 5:52 a.m. And then she also called family and friends. The police did respond. They came immediately and did just like a cursory search of the house, looking for any signs of forced entry. One officer went down into the basement and found, again, looking for signs of forced entry. He finds that there is a room that the door is secured by like a wooden latch over it. And so he didn't open it or go in because at that point he was just looking for an exit, an enter and exit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so they didn't really find anything. They had John make arrangements to pay the ransom while the forensics and other police came. So the cops really only cordoned off JonBenét's bedroom to try and prevent contamination of evidence, but no other part of the house. And so visitors, family, and friends came to help, trying to, show support and be supportive. And so they were being very helpful by like picking things up and cleaning up the kitchen and, wiping down counters and destroying evidence.
Right.
But no contact was ever made to collect the ransom. So at 1 o'clock, everyone's just kind of freaking out. Where's JonBenét? What's happening? John and a family friend are asked by a detective who's on the scene to go search through the house to see if there's anything that they can spot that's amiss. I think they're basically just like, go, here's a thing you can go do.
Yeah.
Go do this thing. And they end up going into the basement, and John goes to that latched wooden door and opens it up, and he finds JonBenét dead in the room behind the latched door that the police officer should have just opened. Should have just opened it. Should have just opened that door. So at this point, it was 7 hours after she had been reported missing that they find her. She is found with her mouth covered in duct tape. Her wrists were tied with a nylon cord. There's also a cord around her neck. And she had a white blanket covering over her torso. And John sees her, knows that she's dead, goes and picks her up and carries her upstairs. At which point he destroys
everything,
because he has fully contaminated everything. So ultimately, they determine via autopsy that she had a skull fracture from a blow to her head, and she had also been strangled by a garrote, the rope that had been tied around her neck. They ultimately said her cause of death was asphyxia from strangulation, but it was in association with the head trauma. So, like, the head trauma didn't necessarily kill her.
Right.
She was strangled, but it might have killed. Like, I mean, it could have also killed her. They're kind of together.
Gotcha.
She died of strangulation, but the head trauma might have killed her anyway, I think is what they're trying to say. There was no evidence of semen, thankfully, but they couldn't rule out sexual assault because they thought there was some evidence of injury, and it seemed as if her genital area had been wiped with a cloth. The garrote, this is all terrible. This is awful. She's a tiny little 6-year-old kid, and it's horrible. The garrote was made from like a length of nylon cord and a broken handle of a paintbrush that had been used to do the tightening of it or whatever. And part of that paintbrush, like the bristles of the paintbrush, was found in a tub of Patsy's art supplies. So again, this is stuff that was taken from the home. That it's not like they brought this in.
Like, yeah, none of this was like the killer stuff. Like, it's just like, oh, I'm using shit that I'm finding. But it's all like opportunity. Yeah.
But a third part, like the brush was broken into 3 pieces, I guess. The bottom third of it was never found, even though they extensively searched the house for days. They did determine in the autopsy that she had a vegetable or a fruit or something in her stomach, so that they thought was pineapple, that suggested that she had eaten it a few hours before her death. But neither parent remembered giving her any pineapple. Later, they discovered that there was a bowl of pineapple on the kitchen table that someone had gotten out. And that bowl had her brother Burke's fingerprints on it. So there was some speculation there that maybe he had been around or interacted or something like that. Now, initially, after the body is found and the police are investigating this as the murder, they initially believed that the parents had something to do with it because, according to the FBI, odds are like 12-1 when a child is murdered that it's someone in the family. It's someone that they know. It's not likely that someone broke in to do it. So, but initially, with that ransom note, how
much older was the brother than her?
3 years. So he's 9.
I don't know why I was thinking he was a lot older.
Because when it all comes out that he's a theory of being a suspect, like, he's like 12 by the time they finally are like, no, it's not him. And everybody's like, but was it? Because again, this went on for years. Like, it kept coming up for probably a solid 10 years trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
So they They thought that Patsy had probably written the ransom note, that the parents had staged the body in the scene to try and cover up her murder.
Mm-hmm.
She was the only one of the family who wasn't conclusively cleared through handwriting samples. Some experts said she did write it. Some experts said she didn't. Handwriting analysis is one of those gray area things. So I kind of am left thinking maybe she could have, not necessarily, but the fact that it was written in, like, it's bizarre. This whole story is bizarre.
Just the wording.
Well, the wording, the fact that they wrote it inside the house where they could get caught. Well, like they had a draft and they wrote 2.5 pages. Like,
right.
Why you would,
like, that's a lot of time.
You would have typed that shit. You would have printed it out somewhere, and you would have brought it with you.
Yeah, you would have already had that. That wouldn't have been like something you did on the fly.
Well, you don't want to spend time inside where you could get caught, where mom or dad could wake up and catch you. Like, no, that's insane. Or Burke could wake up and catch you. Like,
right.
What the hell? It's, to me, that's the thing that makes me go, what in the actual fuck?
Right.
But the Ramseys gave several televised interviews, but really resisted the police questioning them, except on like their own terms. They really weren't super helpful, which made them look really, I remember they looked so guilty.
So bad. Yeah.
They looked so bad because it looked like they were trying to hide something. Like,
oh, yeah. I remember that. Like, I mean, it was like, I think that was what it was. Well, the whole time it was like it was the dad, it was the mom, it was the brother, but it was like it was always them.
Yeah.
Like it was never anybody else. It was always one of the three of them did it somehow, some way, and then the others were covering it up somehow, some way. Like that was, I just remember that from, the get-go.
From the get-go.
The get-go. Like there was never any other suspects. It was always, from the start.
I didn't know this, but apparently in 1999, a grand jury recommended filing charges against John and Patsy for permitting a child to be in a threatening situation and hindering the prosecution of an unidentified person who had committed the murder in the first degree and child abuse resulting in death. But the DA never pursued those charges because he didn't think he had enough evidence. But like a grand jury was like, yeah, we should do this. And I was like, whoa, I don't know that I knew that.
I don't think, no. Mm-mm.
So like it never was pursued. They didn't have enough evidence or anything, but that was surprising to me.
Right.
There was a lot of suggestion, and there was like a whole documentary in which they argued that Burke caused her death. He's 9, and they were siblings, and I feel like there had been some instance with a golf club or something, or a bat. I don't remember now because it wasn't in the stuff that I was reading, but I just remember that there had been some incident where she was annoying him and he hit her with something, and he got in trouble. So like they use it as like, well, if he did it once, he could have done it again and killed her. And you're like, well, I mean, I guess technically, yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's like.
But so that one of the big theories was that Burke had caused her death and that his parents were covering it up to protect him, which I get.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they cite the pineapple bowl that has his fingerprints on it and the pineapple in it that she had obviously eaten as proof that he had been up that night. And so knew what had happened or knew what was going on. But his parents maintained the entire time that he had slept through the whole night, that he had nothing to do with it.
Right.
And he didn't wake up until the police had already arrived. So like they had already called, like he was asleep through all of that. And he was interviewed like 3 times by the police and by like a child. I don't know if it was a child psychologist or like a social worker, like someone who actually knows something about children.
Right.
And they never labeled him as a suspect in anything. So
Gotcha.
Who knows? But the name of this is CBS show is called The Case of JonBenét Ramsey, in which they had a group of experts kind of like evaluate the evidence, and they're the ones who decided that Burke probably did it. They decided that he hit his sister in the head with a heavy object. They were thinking it was a flashlight for some reason. After she stole pineapple from his bowl, and that the ransom letter was an attempt to cover up the circumstances of JonBenét's death in order to, protect Burke.
Right. Yes.
But, I mean, Burke filed a defamation lawsuit against CBS because, they were basically saying he did, it was wild.
Right.
And he won. He won that defamation suit because it was pretty horrific. It's like, you got to be careful what you're saying. You can't say,
right,
oh, he did this.
But I remember watching, I can't remember if it was CBS, something on CBS or like a Dateline or something like that. But I remember it was about this, and whoever, one of the first cops on the scene, they were talking to that person, and they were like, who do you think did it? And they're like, I can't say.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't want to. They're like, oh, I have, like, oh, I'm fairly certain I know who did it.
Right.
But they're like, I can't say out loud. And it's just like, there were so many, there were so many of the police officers who were like, oh, I'm fairly certain I know who did it. But they would never say on interviews or TV or anything.
They can get sued for this kind of stuff. Because if you don't have the evidence to back it up, like you're hurting someone's reputation. Right. So you have to walk that line carefully. And I'll try to here. At this point, I'm just telling you what happened and what people said and the theories.
Right.
I mean, I'll at the end, I'll tell you what I think, but I have no real knowledge. I don't know anything. I don't have any real evidence. Another theory was that Patsy actually struck JonBenét in a fit of rage over a bedwetting incident. Apparently, that was something she was going through as well.
Yeah, I remember hearing that one.
And then assumed that she was dead, and so set up the strangling. Because the reality is, she got hit in the head. The assumption was probably that she was dead, and so then they strangled her
to make it look like it was more of a strangling than.
But ultimately, that's really what killed her. She wasn't
dead yet.
Dead from the head trauma,
right?
But Patsy had no history of uncontrolled anger, and they didn't even spank their kids, so there was really
why would that?
It was kind of a far out there theory. It's okay, suddenly you decide to hit your kid in the head so hard that it kills them. Okay. There was trace DNA found on JonBenét's clothing that in 2003 they were able to run and determine that it was an unknown male, meaning that not anyone from the family. And so in 2008, the DA of Boulder officially cleared the Ramseys from suspicion. But others were like, that's a little bit crazy because it's like you can't prove that the DNA has any connection to the crime and that it isn't just happenstance DNA from something else. Right. Because, we all have all sorts of DNA all over us. And so that's not reason enough to exonerate. And part of the reason that people really, really suspect the Ramseys is because they didn't sit down with investigators until April of 1997. So 4 months of not really talking to the cops. Right. And so it's really weird when your child has been murdered. And they said they did that because they were afraid that the police wouldn't conduct a full investigation because they would just target them as the easy suspects. And I'm like, no. I mean, you obviously are the main suspects because you're in the house and they have to clear you first. So if you're keeping them from doing that, they can't pursue anything else because they're really just you're absolutely guilty of this then because you're not helping at all.
Right.
So it's weird.
I mean, it's saying don't be stupid. you've got to protect yourself. But in the
Right.
same vein,
I mean,
it's like,
I tell Spencer all the time because I watch too
right,
much Dateline.
right, right,
I
right.
was like, it's always the husband or boyfriend. So in the times when it's not the husband or boyfriend, they always get blamed for it to begin with. It's like, so if anything,
Right.
if I disappear, if I die, get a lawyer. Do what that lawyer says. Because, like, I mean, you got to protect yourself. But,
Right.
like, you
But
should
don't be dumb
also
about
be
it.
able to, like, I mean, you would think that the lawyer would be like, let's sit down and talk to them. And, you know, I'll tell you things you can't answer or whatever. It's like, we're not talking
Right.
about that or whatever.
But yeah.
There were other people who were persons of interest early on. Bill McReynolds, who played Santa Claus at the party that they had at the house the day before. They'd had a big, huge party, which is part of the reason why DNA is kind of hard, because lots of people were there.
And they
all
had
over.
like cleaned and
No,
all
and
that stuff.
well,
Yeah.
because then they all came at helping clean up all the evidence,
After,
as you
yeah.
know. So I remember that being talked about. I don't remember why, other than he'd been Santa and she sat on his knee. I guess seemed to be it, is all I.
Right, right.
There was a local reporter who was a person of interest. His name was Chris Wolf. And his girlfriend reported him as a suspect. Like, he was cleared. It was just really a bizarre. I'm like, no longer his girlfriend, obviously. You absolutely break up with that.
Like, what?
The family's housekeeper, Linda Hoffman Pugh. And then what was really bizarre is that there was a guy who unalived himself soon after JonBenét's death and like had said some things, I guess, about her, like after her death to people. And so like he became a suspect. His name was Michael Helgoth, but they never found any real connection. He just,
Right.
so like that was weird. Lou Smith was a detective on the case, and he concluded that an intruder had committed the crime. And this is why he said that. He said that on the night that JonBenét was killed, there had been 2 windows that had been left slightly open in order to allow electrical cords to come through, so for outside Christmas lights.
Uh-huh.
One of them was the broken basement window, and one was like an unlocked door is what it said, although they called it a window, so I don't really know what that's about. But he claims that someone entered the Ramsey home through that broken basement window. But I remember this. People were like, there's no way, because there is an intact cobweb on that window in the photos. It's like, how could you have climbed through that window and not disturb the cobweb? Additionally, the steel grate that covered the window also had undisturbed cobwebs, and foliage around it had been undisturbed. Like, there's no way.
Right.
There was still dust and debris on windowsills, so like none of that had been disturbed. So like people really pushed back and were like, no.
Like, there's no way that somebody crawled through that. Yeah.
But so he believed that the intruder got in through the window without disturbing anything and used a stun gun to subdue JonBenét and then took her down to the basement. That then JonBenét was killed, and then they left a ransom note. And I'm like, okay, hold on. Someone magically gets through a broken window without disturbing anything. No dust, no cobwebs, nothing. Goes up, because the stairs are carpeted, so it's theoretical that he could sneak through the house and no one hear him, which fine, whatever.
Right.
Manages to, like, he uses a stun. Why? You could just pick up a sleeping 6-year-old. You don't need to stun gun them.
But if you used a stun gun, those things have got little points on them. Like, there would be like burn marks.
Well, and it shoots out that confetti, right? Doesn't it shoot confetti out when you stun somebody?
Something. Like, yeah, I guess depending on if it shoots or whatever, or if it's like a close contact, still, there's going to be evidence of that. They would have had burn marks on her body.
Right.
Like, they would have seen that if she had like stun gun marks somewhere.
But I'm like, why would you? This is what I don't understand. Why would any person?
That's wild. Who comes up with that?
Take that person down into the basement of the house. Like, you're asking to get caught, like a noise or something to wake somebody.
Yeah.
Like
I don't get that.
you don't hang out in a crime scene. You
No.
GTFO.
Right.
So I don't know. That seemed crazy to me.
Yes, it does.
There are some people who believe that if it was an intruder or something, that it could have been a child pornographer or a pedophile that became obsessed with JonBenét because of her pageant life.
Right.
Because that's the thing I haven't talked a lot about. So she was a pageant queen. Like, this chick won all the pageants. Like, she's a 6-year-old. And that was what I think what caught America's attention, was that here's this 6-year-old looking like she's 20. Like, she is all dolled up, all decked out, pretty insane looking.
Yes.
I don't think most people in America had any concept of what pageants were like.
Until
this happened. And
until they saw her photos.
And those were the photos we saw. We didn't see cute little 6-year-old girl.
No.
We saw JonBenét Ramsey, pageant queen. And that was it.
Yes, it was the photos of her, the clips of her at her pageants, and all her get up and wear, and her singing and her doing her thing. Like, that was all you saw on TV. And then that was like the only persona of that little 6-year-old girl you knew. And you're thinking, how is that girl 6?
Yeah.
You're like, what?
Yeah.
No.
It was so bizarre.
Like, even now when you tell me she's 6, I'm just like, it's still not like,
6?
how was that kid 6?
She was tiny. Little tiny baby child. But they did, one of the articles I read said that neighborhood in which the Ramseys live, in the preceding months, there had been about 100 burglaries in that area. And within a 2-mile radius, there were 38 registered sex offenders. So, like,
oh my God,
they're which is insane. And you're like, yeah, but they're super rich and they live in super rich neighborhood. But apparently,
right.
So then there was this crazy thing that happened in like 2006, in which Alexis Val Reich, who was then known as John Mark Carr, was arrested in Bangkok, Thailand in 2006 after confessing to murdering JonBenét. He was at the time, he was a 41-year-old school teacher and claimed that he had drugged, sexually assaulted, and accidentally killed JonBenét. And so, like, my memory is that he was like, what's the word when they come and get you and bring you back?
Extradited.
Thank you. So, like, he was extradited from Thailand, but there was no evidence linking him to the scene, no DNA. He didn't match any of it. It was a false confession. He was an odd duck, but I won't go into that. And that same year, 2006, Patsy died at the age of 49 from ovarian cancer. She is buried next to JonBenét in Georgia. Currently, as in like in the last couple months, John Ramsey has been pushing to have the murder of children considered a federal crime, partly to ensure that the mistakes that occurred in his daughter's case don't happen, because then it becomes a federal government issue as opposed to local police. Boulder police did say that they have, as of last year, they followed up on over 21,000 tips, letters, and emails, have been to 19 states to interview and speak to over 1,000 people regarding the case. And the case is still open. The DNA that they found, they ran in like 2003 because they had the technology to do so then. Yeah. Still unmatched, but they apparently are planning to do some new forensics testing now that we're in the year 2023. And there's lots of new things. So we may have resolution at some point. We may not. But I will tell you. So
the dad is still alive?
He is. He has remarried and he has
I don't know why I was thinking
2 more
he had died
children.
Too. Okay. I don't know why I was thinking he had died too. Okay.
Nope. He has remarried and has more kids. Burke has been on Dr. Phil to protest his innocence. Like, poor kid. Right. His whole, regardless of what happened, his whole life got fucked up over this. So.
Right. Like, I knew Patsy had passed away, and I don't know why I thought it was breast cancer, but it was ovarian cancer. Okay. Yeah.
So that's the story of JonBenét Ramsey. The mystery still continues. But I'll tell you the weirdest thing. So
Yes.
I started looking at the Wikipedia article, and I will flash this up to prove it. I took a screenshot in case it's different now. And like I'm reading, like it has like the generic short stuff
Right.
at the top, and then it goes into different sections. And one section is about the parents. And this particular paragraph is talking about John Ramsey and how he was a businessman and the president of Access Graphics.
Right.
But what the sentence on Wikipedia actually reads is, John Ramsey did it. I saw him. Was a businessman who was the president of Access Graphics. And I'm like,
What?
it's like, what the fuck? What? John Ramsey did it. I saw him. Like, what a weird.
Somebody has obviously gotten into Wikipedia and edited it.
And I was just like, ooh, weird. But
so, what is
story
your
side.
hypothesis on what happened?
So, my theory, to me, the thing that makes a lot of sense is, unfortunately, and this is, please don't come at me for defamation, because like I don't. This is just me making up shit. This is from what I've been able to read and see. I don't have real evidence. I don't know real things.
Right.
I mean, it seems most likely that someone in that house did something that caused them to believe she was dead. Now, the pineapple stuff and the fact that siblings are siblings, like it would make sense to me if Burke had hit her and mom and dad were covering up for him. But it would also make sense if like she had fallen and hit her head and they thought Burke did it. And so they were covering it up for him.
Right.
Even though he didn't at all. He just was asleep and had no idea what was going on. Like, to me, something happened because no body is going to go and kidnap someone and stay inside the house to write ransom notes that long and to, you know, then murder a kid with the stuff that's there. Like, if you went in to murder someone, you're like Crazy Santa in your story. He brought all the stuff with him. Like, what are you? It's just, it's so bizarre that obviously, could it have been an intruder who knew what they were doing or whatever, and they just it all went nuts, and they just kind of like, well, this is what happened, so I was here and I did it. Like, that's a lot. I mean, it's possible. It's just not likely. Right. It seems like, not that I don't think anyone intentionally in that family murdered the child. I don't think that's what happened. I don't think there was.
You don't think it was a malicious?
No, I don't. I think that she was found or something happened and there's a panic and they went down this crazy route in order to
make it look like it was something else.
Yeah, because like I can understand all of that emotion and that sense and that thought to be like, well, you know, got to protect each other, got to protect our family, whatever. Like, I get it. That seems to me something that in that realm seems the most likely explanation. But I am excited for them to do more DNA and prove me the fuck wrong. Because, like, don't get me wrong. Maybe someone was fucking living in the attic, which terrifies the shit out of me, and came out in the middle of the night and she saw him and they killed her. Like, I don't know. And I hate that garbage. Like, it terrifies me. So, like, that could have been it. Someone was living in the attic and she saw them and so they killed her. Like, I don't know. Who knows? But crazy thing like that aside, you know, there's a reason that they look at the family first. It usually is. So that's my thought. But Merry Christmas. The reality is she died on Christmas. They didn't find her until the day after.
Christmas Day,
So Merry Christmas Eve and Merry Christmas. It's all bad.
Yes.
So, on that very happy note,
hooray!
It must be tarot. Oh no!
What'd you do? What'd you break?
Tarot time with April. I lost the moon.
No.
Sorry. It's okay. I have returned the moon.
Not the moon.
The moon is back. It's okay. It just rolled away. All right, Claire. Are you ready?
Yes.
Tell me when to stop. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Everywhere we go. With some homicide on the trees. Look at it's so gory. Nothing like some murder to make you merry.
Nice. Oh, stop.
Thank you. I will say that Dateline has been having like holiday themed murders
Have they?
on their
Nice.
like 24/7 channel, and I'm like,
Yes.
okay. All right, cards. Let's bring me some good luck because I need the curse to be broken.
She's like, I'm broken.
Bizarrely, we're starting with reverse temperance again, which is what we had last time. Weird.
Interesting.
Then we're going to have the Six of Cups and the Ace of Wands.
Okay.
So reverse temperance was the excess thing. It's like, it's a lot of excess, but not necessarily good or bad. It's just excessive.
Right.
And I was like, okay. Which I guess makes sense because this is going to be Christmas Eve. And
food and people and
all
things.
The food and people and things. So lots of excess. So everybody like enjoy it, but don't go overboard. You'll regret it later.
Facts.
So, and eat a high fiber diet so that you don't live the miserable life that I have been living for the past 2 weeks.
Indeed.
Just trying to help. Just trying to help. All right. Six of Cups. Let's see. For some reason, I'm just reading this to you because it's on theme. It says, my kids made it to age 9 with some magic intact. They still believe in Santa and the Tooth Fairy. Okay.
On point.
Blah, 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 blah. I'm trying to figure out what this card is about. Okay. The Six of Cups. Silliness, joy, radiating happiness, and nostalgia live here. Drinking out of the garden hose, leaving out cookies and milk, and lifting your feet when you drive over railroad tracks. All of those things are a defense against the seemingly unending barrage of things that might bruise your soul. It's about the joy of being a child, even as a 38-year-old or a 68-year-old. It's about holding tight to magic, because that is the counterbalance to all the other things that are so terribly serious and heavy. So what a perfect Christmas card.
Yes, it's
all about holding on to the magic and the joy and the silliness. I support that. That's nice. Huh. So we're going to be careful about our excess, and then we're going to have a great freaking Christmas and hold on to the joy.
That's right.
And then we'll end our week with the Ace of Wands. Let's see here. The wand is given to you, which could be interpreted as the universe handing you some good luck or good karma, but what you do with that is up to you. The Ace of Wands is succeeding beyond your dreams, sometimes even against reason. Things line up in such a way that luck, coincidence, hard work, and planning make everything turn out right. Okay. Cool.
Pretty good week.
I'm okay with that. I'm going to have some excessiveness without being insane. I'm going to enjoy some magic. And then I'm going to succeed beyond my dreams. So, cool. Nice, good luck. I need luck. Give me the luck, please.
Yes.
So.
That seems like a pretty good week.
That's a good week in the cards. I'm here for that. So, what will the topic be?
Watch it be true crime.
Which would be fine. I mean, like, let's be real.
I mean, fair.
I mean, it's
That'd
not
be
as
funny,
if we
though.
don't have a million choices. Okay, are you ready? You
That'd be
ready?
funny though.
The first, let's see, this will be the first topic of 2024. Yes.
Will it still be 2024 or will it be the?
No, well, because
This one's airing on Christmas Eve, so this one will be New Year's Eve.
No.
Right?
No, we have a special episode for New Year's Eve.
Oh yeah,
Special episode.
Special episode. Yeah,
You'll love it. You'll love it. You'll want to come for that. But for the first episode of 2024,
That's it. Yep.
our topic is gonna be
Satanic panic.
Well, there we have it. That sums up
Starting
2024.
The year off right.
That's right.
It's Satan.
Satanic panic. So we have done satanic panic before, so
I think
this
like
will
twice. Yep.
we'll have to do something related without specifically satanic panic. I feel like it covers all things and not just that period of time in the 80s when everybody lost their fucking mind.
Right.
We'll just, the Salem witch trials. Satanic
That's what I was. I mean,
panic.
you could still like, yeah, that
Absolutely.
feels like that's like
Yeah.
related.
Absolutely. So it'll be fun. Can't wait. Actually, I have some great ideas already. Oh my God. Okay. Yay. Well, this was fun. Thank you guys for joining us this week in our wild card / true crime Christmas theme. And
Yes.
we're excited to see you next week when we have a fun episode. Be sure to join us. And then in 2024, when we go to Satanic Panic, down to our roots.
That's right.
But until then, you can find us in all the things and at all the places at.
Brunch and Judge.
Please follow, like, comment, subscribe. And you can send us any topics for the wheel or any stories you'd like for us to cover to us at.
brunchandjudge@gmail.com.
So until next time, keep on brunching
And keep on judging.
and beware the curse of the Christmas ornament. I'm not kidding.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not kidding. Be careful out there.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.